Hey everybody, Mactimizer here. I got the Elder Scrolls Online again, and the Do Not Disclose agreement is off, so I can do videos. And there's 4 basic character classes on there, and I got one of them, and the Sorcerer. And a lot of things do carry over. Uh, if you've seen the first video, then you've noticed that the attributes are the same. Magicka, health, and stamina are your basic attributes. And you have skills, and skills are affected by your basic attributes, except for health. That's basically your health pool, and how much damage you can take, and that would be important in tanking. And going over to skills, we have class skills, and most class skills use Magicka, which is basically mana or spirit, if you do whatever game you play, but it's your basic magic attacks. And you know, they deal damage, and that damage is based on your Magicka stat. So the higher your Magicka stat, the more damage your Magicka based skills do, and then the more magic or mana you have to actually do cast those spells. And so, for instance, I got Mage's Fury here, which deals 18 shock damage and explodes for an additional 50 shock damage if the target falls below 20%. It's kind of like an execute skill within 4 seconds. The explosion also deals 9 shock damage to enemies within 4-meter radius of the target. An interesting thing starts to happen as you start leveling. If you notice, there's like an XP bar right here, and as your skills gain experience, they can be augmented or transmorphed, so they take on different abilities. Like, for instance, this could return magic upon explosion, or it could heal me upon explosion, or it could arc and hit other targets. There's a lot of different effects that you can select when you transmorg it, and it takes a skill point. Skill points are up here, and you basically spend a skill point and you gain an ability. Like if I wanted lightning form, which gave me armor and spell resistance for 6 seconds, I could click this and spend the point, or I can also cancel. I don't want that ability, and use it. But the Transmogus skill, I also have to be able to spend a point. And for instance, I could get Encase, which is basically a root, and stun an enemy for 4 seconds. Or I could get Daedric Curse, which is new actually, I didn't even know I had it, which curses an enemy for 6 seconds. When the effect's complete, target takes 41 magic damage and nearby enemies take 20 magic damage. Only 1 curse can be activated at any one time. So basically it's a damage after X seconds, basically. So I probably won't take it. I'll save my skill points to transmog the skills I do like. So those magic-based skills, again, go back to our stats of magic. Stamina-based skills are usually weapon-based skills. If I go back over here and go down to weapons, there's a whole slew of different weapons. Your class, such as this, which is Sorcerer, determines which class skills I get. The weapon I pick picks out which weapon-based skills I take. So if I went two-handed and got Cleave, that takes stamina. However, if I go down to Destruction Staff, which is what I have, now all of a sudden this takes Magicka too. This gives me a different selection of magic spells that I could take. Like for instance, this creates a wall of elemental force in front of me for 2.5 seconds. So that's kind of interesting. Or a Destructive Wave that can has different features. So with the weapons, that's going to add a little new thing to us here. I can go over to inventory. For instance, I got a Maple Infernal Staff. It's basically a destruction staff. If I go back over to here, it's destruction based. But there's fire, ice, and shock based destruction staffs. And each one does different damage types: electric, fire, and ice, frozen. And each one has different special effects on them, and each spell cast from them on the destruction staff base has different effects. So it's kind of cool. It's a very involved build process, you can change them, and you can carry different staffs, and you just switch the staff and you get the different effect. You don't have to build the spell for that effect. It's just based on the staff that you're using. So that's kind of cool. You can swap around staffs and do different things. Very interesting. And then so the destruction based skills are still based on magicka. So when you're playing a different class that's using magicka and stamina, you can actually have two different pools to play with. You could actually build a sorcerer not on the destruction side. You could have dual wielding sorcerer and have stamina based skills as well, because enemies will charge you and close in if they're not ranged, and you can actually go into melee with them. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So that's very interesting strategies that you can take on. It's a much more in-depth game than I first gave it credit for. And then there's also different passive abilities that start coming into play. Like this Tri-Focus here, Frost Attack snares enemy 30% for 3.5 seconds. So every time I use a Frost-based staff, and all my Frost-based basic attacks. You have basic attacks which cost no stamina or magic to use. They're like your auto attacks. You can do a heavy attack or a fast attack, which is basically a slow attack which does a lot of damage, or a fast attack which does light damage. And obviously it casts faster or slower. But you know, if you use a frost staff, it snares them. Shock staff does splash damage to enemies, and the fire staff has increased critical strike rating. So very interesting, you know, passive abilities that you start gaining with that as well. And when you run out of magic, you have to resort to your basic attacks until your magic builds up again. So you know, there's different benefits for not using a staff per se. You could dual wield daggers and go into stamina pool burners for extra abilities while you're waiting for magic to build up. Oops. So this is the inventory. Everything you equip, everything that you wear shows up. So that's very interesting. And like a different staff, like I can put on my maple ice staff. As you can see now, it has a different look. It looks like a crook instead of like a staff that had a barb or a mallet end. So very interesting. And then go back to character. You have all your stats listed here, and it's telling your active effect. My little pet familiar there, that's an active effect. And then we have all our skills, and there is actually ultimate abilities that you get later on as well. We have a journal that lists all the quests that you have. You can set focus to the quest so it shows up as a targeted quest and it highlights where to go. All the other quests still are highlighted on the map, so you can see them on the map. The map is very visual. Like for instance, that's a quest to do even though it's not highlighted. However, these dark ones are highlighted, so it's telling me to go there. There's another quest to go, so it's telling me to go investigate this area. These icons are already visited. Dark icons are not visited. And this is just a quest icon. It's telling me that I have to go there. You can scroll in and out. And then going back to the journal, you have achievements. And there's these things called sky shards, which basically is one of the big things on the achievements to do. You got to collect sky shards in an area. Every 3 sky shards gives you a skill point. So going back to the skill points, you see I got 2. And if you want to start transmogging the skills you have and getting more skills, obviously you're going to need skill points. So you and you can build up these passive abilities quite high. You know, they take 2 points here and there, and as you get higher in destruction staff, you can get more and more passive. Like this one restores 25 magicka when killing an enemy with a destruction spell. That's pretty sweet. I want that. And you have to collect these sky shards, and then just close out this and go back to the journal. So this tells you the sky shards that you've collected and gives you hints on where to find them. And one here says abandoned before morning. So if I go to the map, this is the Temple of the Morning Springs. You notice how morning is spelt a little bit different. So obviously they're talking about mourning, like something passing away and you're mourning them. And then if I exit the map and I look out here, I see this big pip pointing in the sky with a bright light, and that's shining down on top of a sky shard. If I run up to here and I hit E, I absorb the sky shard. And after a little sequence, it says pieces collected 1 of 3. If I get 3 of 3, I get the sky shard. Someone's killing a little electro crab there. It's pretty low level, I don't bother. So that's a little added feature of things to do. And then I go back to the achievements, and it tells me I got 3 of the 6 so far. And then I can also put it back to quests, and it goes back to quests. And then what else do we have here? That's the map. This will be groups. It'll show you your group. You can teleport to group members. The first teleport takes you to the same instance. There's multiple instances of areas. So sometimes when you group up, you won't be in the same instance, and then you can teleport to the instance, and then you can teleport again to the person sometimes. That will take you directly to them. Sometimes it won't. It really depends on the area you're in. It has your friends that you've made. If you've friended anybody, it'll tell you if they're on, so you can click them and group real quick with them. It'll tell you information about your guilds, alliances, your mail. Very involved. So I'm on a quest here at the Temple of the Morning, and I'm actually gonna, let's see here, I'm gonna set the focus for this temple here, and it tells me I have to find the Scorpion Ward and the Spider Ward. So I'm gonna go up here and take a right. Go up there. Something shot me. Something from a corner, hiding up behind a corner. So my pet started attacking it, and I can attack it. And it's glowing, so it's telling me I have something to loot, and then I loot it. So when I go to the skills here, this is the action bar down here. You can set them up what keys. 1, 2, 3 is automatically set up, and then everything else you have to set up. So I actually set it up to 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Because W, S, and D are the actual movement keys, so 4 is instinctively open for my index finger. And then you can move these around. So I have my Dark Magic Crystal Shard, which does 60 damage to the enemy and knocks them down for 2 seconds. Then I have my Mage's Fury, which does only 18 damage, but it does an additional 50 damage if they fall below 20% health. So I knock them down low, knock them down even lower, and then hopefully they just die with the execute move. That's the strategy. And then the pet hits him. Oh, there's 2 skeletons there. This guy's gonna go running right into him. Nope. So he's already almost dead. So the fire attacks were me just doing fast attacks with my staff. That's a fast attack. And if I hold it down, I charge it up and I release it, and those 2 fire moves go off. And if they were to hit something, they'd do more damage that way. And it's telling me you have to go up here. There's a little icon, then it's hit it. This is the Spider Ward.
Watch for undead. I'll disrupt the ward.
And then the little person following me is my little helper that started me on the whole mission. And she blocked the ward. It's down, and now we have to go to the Scorpion Ward, which is all the way to the north, so we can just run across the grounds. You can jump in on somebody else's kill. You won't steal anything from them. It's shared XP. XP is based basically on actions you perform. Using the skill basically gives the skill XP. Killing something basically gives kill XP. You don't steal from anybody. If you do it, jump in on somebody else's. And obviously they probably just don't get as much because you helped them, but also the fight's that much shorter. Their loot is their loot, your loot's your loot, and you don't steal any loot from them. It's a good idea to loot everything that you can, because they will have... This guy looks kind of tough. Revenue. And then, you know, gear is pretty good. I'm not having too good of luck finding anything good for armor-wise, but I'm a mage, so it doesn't
This
really
war
matter.
won't keep us out for long.
Here she goes, she's interrupting. Graphics are pretty sweet in this game. Probably a good idea of what the game's gonna look like, maybe a little prettier, probably a little more fluid. I don't know what my settings are. Ultra high, pretty much across the board, some mediums. So, I got a really good card, pretty decent machine. So, floating around 35 to 50 is pretty decent. Cast a spell on me, throws me. And see, I found an iron dagger. So if I wanted to go dual wield, I could. If you feel you chose the wrong weapon, that's never anything to worry about. You can switch out, you can change armor types whenever you want. Now it's telling me I have to go here, enter the temple catacombs. That guy really wasn't there. Looked like there was a monster there, but then he ran off. Secret door. And then I hit the map, it tells me I have to go down to there. Now, anybody can go into this. This is all open instance, so it's a little nutty that way. Nothing's private, so it's pretty much why everything is open, open help. Ooh, crit. That was a big crit. Oh, homespun breeches. See, I got armor. I just go to my inventory. I can equip it. That's mine's damaged, so I'll get a little armor out of it. I have to equip it or repair it. There's a lot of guards here. See the execute damage kicking in all over the place. Enter the temple catacombs. What happened here? I went out the indoor, or is this a bug?
When I last came
Uh-huh.
through here.
Update
The sight
first.
of the two moons seems to be the key to dispersing the barrier.
got one right.
The cycle of the two moons seems to be the key to dispersing the barrier.
Luckily, this is just do and fail.
The cycle of the two moons seems to be the key to
Fail.
dispersing
Do
the
and do it
barrier.
in the right order. Well, we know this is the right one. No, that one's not the right one. That's the right one. That one or that one? Oh, let's go.
The barrier is down. But before we proceed, I need to speak with you. When we entered the temple, that skeleton made a Dominion relies on Robert. Thank you.
The story's really good. I'm obviously skipping it, so you guys don't have to sit there and watch me read.
We found the Morning Stone on that pedestal. Wait, that's Aurelian. What's he doing up there?
Ears that large and you still don't listen. Perhaps you need a few... Why, I am. Never mind that accursed...
Leave Aurelian for now. We have to disrupt the summoning ritual.
Well, it looks
I'll
like he's a
destroy the
bad
bone
guy.
piles if you keep the undead at bay.
Summoning a Daedra. Daedras are demons. Not good.
It'll take a moment to weaken the circle. Keep the undead away from me.
That guy's buzzing. I guess he is.
One last circle. We can do this. We must do this. Help my master. I'm right behind you.
Stay back!
Cool.
Get
Zapped.
out of my body! Now! Silence! None command, Aldor!
Ooh, an iron shield. Don't know where the bat was hiding that one.
Uldor, I command you by the tears of the two moons, return to your prison.